Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to Synchronicity Web TV. I am your host, Nadiya Shah, and this is your moment of synchronicity. Well, I'm so excited to celebrate with you today, Jánet Jones. Jánet, you've seen her on my channel before. She is so brilliant. I love her. I found her online with her empire called Spiritual Gangster Certified. She's got such an online presence, and I loved her platform because she shares like so much stuff that's insightful and brilliant and funny and entertaining all at the same time. And then I also saw her on YouTube. And when I saw her on YouTube doing these celebrity charts, I was like, oh my goodness, I need this person to come to Synchronicity University. I need this person on my YouTube channel. And now here we are on the other side of it. And Jánet is back at Synchronicity University, this time teaching a 5-week course. Now, this is advanced astrological techniques, Decans and DUADS and so much more that we're going to talk about today. You've got a little time left to choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class to learn from Jánet. Jánet, welcome. Thank you for being here.
I'm honored to be here again with you.
Well, I just think you're so amazing. I love you as an astrologer. I think that you are so brilliant. So it's just wonderful to continue to work with you because we've done a little bit of work together and now you're coming with this 5-week course. So maybe before I jump into that, let me just ask you about Spiritual Gangster Certified. Let's go there. How many people now, because I know you've got a ton of people online. How many people do you have on the different platforms following?
Facebook is the largest following. I really do need to be mindful of the other pages, but Facebook has always been so kind to me over there. We're at almost 247,000 followers. Engagement is back up. It's really going great over there. People are sharing, connecting. We're talking astrology, spirituality, human design, bettering yourself as a person, self-love, self-care, healing from everything from narcissistic abuse to, childhood trauma. So we're talking about a lot of different things.
And congratulations. You deserve every success. Yeah. Because I remember before you even hit 100,000, I think I remember back when you were like, we just hit 50,000. Yay. Yes. We hit 50,000. And now here you are with like 5 times as many. And I just think that that's so wonderful and very well deserved because I've seen the love that you've given to that page, but also the expertise. I have seen your expertise up close. And I know I was the one who contacted you and said, hey, I saw that video. That was really good. And so it's just so nice to be working with you now and to continue to see you thrive and grow in astrology in your own way with your own amazing platform as well. And so it's interesting that you're back now at Synchronicity University and you're going to be teaching more advanced techniques. So tell me a little bit about that, like about Decans and DUADS and why you consider them advanced techniques, why advanced techniques matter. I mean, I know why they matter, but you tell me.
Well, one of the things that first came to mind after my learning about, we'll start with Decans and then DUADS. I use both of them a lot in my work. But the thing that stuck out to me was that, oh my goodness, you could utilize this to explain things deeper to someone who doesn't really understand astrology. That's what made it stick out. So, we have to defend astrology a lot online sometimes, and there's misinformation and all sorts of things. But even looking at a person's sun sign, I started to realize, we can talk about Pisces, we can talk about Aries, we can talk about any of the signs, sun sign qualities, but we can hone in a little bit deeper. So for instance, I'm looking at my chart, I'm like, oh my goodness, my sun is at 20 degrees of Pisces. There has to be meaning there. So that's what, got me looking into it. And I discovered I could speak to people who, let's say, were born maybe the first day of Pisces season and feel some differences in how we would relate, our view of the world, just our personalities in general. And looking at Decans and DUADS, I'm like, oh, well, there's a reason there's a market difference. So we can just talk sun sign with people and say, someone born the first day of Pisces season, it's going to be like 0 degrees of Pisces. So that's Pisces energy in the Pisces decan. It's very Piscean, and the Pisces DUAD. Whereas for me, at 20 degrees of Pisces, I'm Pisces energy in the Scorpio decan, and then the Scorpio DUADS. So that may sound very simple to like whomever may be listening and goes, okay, I could see where there's some differences, but there's so many jewels hidden just within that information. And that's what inspired me to say, no, I have to teach people about this, because in my readings, people are always like, how did you get that specific? This is what aids in that process.
And there's like layers, right? Like that's the thing. You really get to these deeper nuances. And I think that's what the advanced techniques give us, is that they help us to really tap into a depth of understanding of the placements in our chart. And if you're doing readings for others, you are able to speak truth to those people that much more. And, you know, I'm reminded of my former professor, Jeffrey Cornelius. He passed away recently. The astro community is certainly feeling that loss right now. And, you know, he was somebody who talked about that's what we're doing as astrologers. We're aiming to touch on truth for the experience of the client. And you add these other nuances and layers, and then you really start getting to the heart of the chart, which is the heart of the person. And I think that's part of what these techniques help us to do.
Yes, it really does. And it helps you to understand challenges at times too. Like, I remember when I first saw my birth chart, first of all, like seeing so much energy from signs I used to kind of talk a little negatively about based on sun sign experience was interesting. But as I was breaking down each placement, I know a lot of people will plug in as much information as they can into a Google search to try to like understand their placements. And I kept feeling like something was missing. I remember I was looking at my nodes. And as a Libra rising, I have opposite energy in every house anyway. So I'm contemplating my nodes in Leo and Aquarius, North Node at 29 degrees, South Node at 29 degrees Aquarius. And I'm like, well, what's this meaning? What am I supposed to reach for? And I'm like, if I want to read other people and be able to provide them with something, which was always my goal once I found this beautiful study, I needed to really be able to tell them something. So I remember the day that it occurred to me, I knew that 29 degrees of Leo was Regulus. So I'm thinking about the themes, leadership, you know, kings, royalty, stuff like that. And then I'm like, okay, well, 29 degrees of Leo would be in the Aries decan, but it would be in the Cancer DUAD. And then I'm thinking about how those three signs interact with one another. And the best I can say is I marinated on it for a little bit, like sat back with it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, well, if you want to embody the best qualities of your North Node, well, thinking, you know, about mine, I was like, I have to not only be brave, I have to be willing to go to war, and you have to be nurturing. Good leaders do that. You have to care. And I'm just like, wow, why don't I do this for everything in my chart? And then I started doing it in my readings. And then I started teaching other people, because a lot of my clients will have a very big interest in astrology. Like they might not have before, they just were curious about their energy. But once they learn these small things, they're like, astrology is amazing. So this is one of the things that I think is a helpful tool to give people an inside look into something they probably didn't consider that way before.
It's powerful to consider ourselves. I mean, as much as we're talking about these techniques that we bring to other people, the self-discovery, that's what it sounds like, right? For you, it was the self-discovery that ended up being so powerful.
Yes, very much so. I mean, I felt this push and pull my whole life, like, stand out. No, help everybody out. Like, and astrology helped me to mitigate and understand why there was this pull. And I'm like, no, I'm supposed to stand out yet help the collective. So it was about achieving that balance. And then, well, how do I do that? What would be the most positive way I could express this energy? What are things I have to look out for? Like 29 degrees of Leo, that can be public disgrace if you handle, and again, thinking of those three signs, and then looking at keywords, which I encourage everybody to always do. I don't care how advanced you are. Sometimes going back to the basics really helps you to connect these pieces. So we'll be doing that in the course as well.
I love that you said that, because foundations can always be made stronger, which is great. There's always another way to understand, especially that foundational stuff. But that foundational stuff is only going to help you further understand the more advanced stuff, like the stuff that you're going to be teaching. So, JANÉT, I'd love for people to see this in action, like how this actually works. And I know that you can generate these charts for free, what we're about to show you. You happened to use, and I happen to use Astro Gold, which is a paid program. However, there are lots of free programs online where you can get a similar visual. AstroSeek comes to mind. Astro.com comes to mind. And I know you'll explain all of that to people, but let's have a look here at Jennifer Lopez's chart and how you would interpret this. Yeah, with the additional info we have here.
Okay, so what we're seeing here is that in Astro Gold, it allows you to look at each sign broken into 3 parts, which is what decans actually are. Each sign within the chart wheel is given 30 degrees. 12 signs, 30 degrees, you get the 360-degree wheel. The decans break a sign down into 3 parts, 3 equal parts of 10 degrees each. So what we see here is if you look at JLO's sun, which is in the 10th house in this chart, we don't have her birth time, but we're putting noon. You're going to see, if you look above that, the symbol of the sun, another symbol of the sun. That is showing that her sun is in a sun-ruled decan. And what sign is ruled by the sun? Leo. So from this information, I'm going to tell you what we can glean. And this is what is so fabulous about this. You have Leo energy in the Leo decan. And in the course, I'll show everybody how to break a sign down even further into a smaller part. That's what a DUAD is. It turns out her sun is also in the Leo DUAD. So this is like 3 scoops of Leo. This is heavy Leo, energy. And with Pluto going back into Aquarius, she's going to be going through, she's probably already felt it several times. We've seen it in the media, like this. It almost feels like in some ways a need to strike the public image that she holds. Like I see a lot of rumors and different things that people have said, and since we don't know her personally, can't really attest to them, but it's very interesting to see the trial that she's already faced with Pluto when it was in Aquarius and then retrograded back into Capricorn. She's getting a bit of a reprieve, but this energy is going to be hitting that Leo energy very heavily. So you can see from this chart, even though around the wheel, it shows the different planets. So let's stay looking at Leo just for a moment. Now, her Mercury is also in Leo at 3 degrees. That would still be within the Leo decan. Now, she doesn't have any other placements or planets in Leo that come after that. But just to kind of explain what we're looking at, the sun, wherever you see the sun in this chart in that middle wheel, is going to mean Leo energy. If you see Jupiter, it's going to mean Sagittarius energy, or if you use ancient rulership, Pisces energy. So this wheel actually shows you what planets rule certain sections of every sign. So there's so much information you can get from just that. Like, she's basically triple sun. How could this woman not shine? How could she not stand out? How could she not be the center of attention? I mean, it makes so much more sense. And that's us just looking at her Leo placements. We haven't even looked at anything else. So this is the beauty of this. Things get broken down further. And if you have access to Astro Gold, this is a way that you can utilize that with your own birth chart, if you like, to be able to tell, well, what decan is, my, let's say, Sun or Mercury in, and it will display it for you. We'll also go into, in the course, ways to kind of do this manually. It'll become like second nature to you when you get good at it. You'll hear a degree of a sign and know what decan it's in or what DUAD it's in. So that's the purpose of this, because you want to get, I guess I could say, not only just proficient, but passionate with this use, because when you do, you'll start putting things together lightning quick. And that's of such an advantage to our clients, to people who we talk to about astrology, because the insight becomes second nature. You're already given this gift of this beautiful practice to be able to see so much. This gives an added layer, for sure.
Yeah. And it's incredible to think, I mean, the way you described it, 3 scoops. Now, I would say she's a jacked up Leo. That's how I would put it. She is a jacked up Leo. She's got a lot of Leo energy here. And the fact that Mercury is there as well means that she's seeing the world and she's communicating from a place like, I am queen. Yes, I am queen. Then you get that Pluto opposition. And it feels like, you know, the kingdom is and the queendom is kind of crumbling, right? It has a very challenging time for her, for sure. And I love that you mentioned pride. It's her pride that's been, you know, striked, if you will, is what's been happening. Yeah.
That's just what that has to feel like. I also wanted to point out something. I talked about her Mercury being also in the Leo Decan, but it's in a whole different DUAD than her sun, which then gives us an extra added level of information. So at 3 degrees and 55 minutes, this would put her sun, it's still in the Leo Decan, but it's going to be her Mercury in the Virgo DUAD.
Amazing. And
So
that's how she can, focus her mind. Yeah. She's very proficient with figuring out what to say and working the media. I mean, she is such a pro with the media, right?
Yes. I've even seen her. There was a video that came out a couple years ago that was saying how much she did not enjoy having Virgos work for her. She didn't like them. And that's when I saw her chart, I kind of giggled to myself when I'm like, oh, do you kind of feel some resonance in the ways that they are with the way that you think and, you know, the way that you communicate. It's just interesting how that extra added depth could give you some insight into maybe she might be struck a little funny by that.
Yeah. And even though we're using a noon chart here, I think, I mean, it just makes so much sense for her, doesn't it? The noon chart has a Libra rising with Jupiter right there, close by, also in Libra. It's got all this Leo energy right at the top of her chart. I mean, a 29-degree Scorpio moon. She's such a Scorpio moon vibration. I mean, I just do not see Sag moon in this girl. I see Scorpio in the way that she's just able to hone in on what she wants, and the energy, the focus she radiates when it is that she dances and moves. I mean, and how important love is to her. That's the Libra vibe, right? So
relationships right in your face your whole life. Believe me, I understand. Being a Libra rising, my doll as a little kid.
And the interest in youth is the Venus in Gemini, right? Who was it? Marilyn Monroe had Venus in Gemini as well. And they, you know, like to look younger. They are, you know, more inclined in that direction. Youthful things make them look and feel beautiful.
For my goodness, just a fabulous. I hate saying for her age too, because women, we're supposed to embrace, you know, growing older. There's, you know, a lot of things out here in society that tell us otherwise, but it's a blessing to age. She's just doing so very gracefully.
Yeah. And I mean, there's this recent movie, total side note here. It's called The Substance with Demi Moore. And it's sort of taken over the internet right about now from the time that we're recording this. And, you know, it shows her fighting with this younger version of her. And when I saw that, I thought, you know, that's what it can feel like. You know, you're getting older and you're like fighting with this thing in you that actually feels filled with life and ambition and youth and all of that. And yet there's this other part of you that isn't that. And it's something that is so put on women, like that battle with ourselves. It's almost like we are trained to embrace that battle, to expect that battle with ourselves. And she doesn't seem like she's battling, but she obviously takes a lot of pride in her appearance, without a doubt. Yeah.
Definitely. You can definitely tell that she does and does so well. And I know, celebrities have people that dress them in things. It just seems like it's easy to find something that is show stopping for her. And I know she
Yeah.
works to maintain her body so that that can continue on. So these things are definitely checking out. Her Saturn popped out to me too because it's in Taurus and it's at the earlier degrees, not too early, but that will definitely be something that is touched by Pluto as well. And if you look at the chart, it'll show you that 8 degrees of Taurus would be in the Venus decan. And, this information just, Venus keeps popping up and saying, hey, but I wonder, because I see a lot of people when she had I forget what her Amazon movie was called, but I did think it was well done. It was visually, stunning. There was some astrology in it to keep us all engaged, which made me
I
very
loved
happy.
it. Yeah, I loved it.
I enjoyed it. There was so much and division on the internet. I thought it was great and it was beautiful, but the gossip and the things that were basically undermining her hard work. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Taurus being the sign of values. I know people think food and money initially when they think about that, but it's what you stand on, what you're willing to like. Taurus is very grounded energy, but it is proficient at staying the course. We can't undermine this lady's hard work, and that's what I didn't like about what was occurring there. But she's so Venusian. Please, it's just like Saturn. Please, please, please be gentle to her when Pluto crosses. Comes into. I don't know. This is all needed, though. So that's another thing. The universe doesn't make mistakes. So as we watch things unfold, something like this would give a person the opportunity to go, oh, that makes even more sense. Because you'll see especially when you're looking at what planets and signs are involved in this, you'll hear ones repeat and you'll start to realize there's themes in people's lives. Some people have a lot of Aries hits. I've seen that happen before, be it the Decan or the DUADS, when I'm looking at a whole bunch of different parts of their chart. And it's interesting because some of them are so repressed. And I'm like, if they knew about this energy and how to use it appropriately instead of holding things in and letting them boil over and just, an explosion, you could literally look at a person's chart and go, honey, there's Aries influence here. Another thing I wanted to talk about too, in the course, I'm going to use Jennifer Lopez's chart as, something for us to look at. So we'll go into this in depth. We're going to talk about especially the planets that are going to be impacted by like major transits that are coming up over the next few years. You almost want to use this as a way to, I don't want to say it like place bets. Give your predictions for what you think is going to occur based on the energies you see here. So it really does give a deeper look. I'd be so excited to have everybody know how to do this.
Yeah. Now, I'm actually intrigued because I believe that we are going to have, it's going to be 2028, right? She's going to have not only her Saturn return, but also Chiron conjunct Saturn on her Saturn return. And that is when Pluto is going to begin to square that configuration. That's going to be a pretty intense time. And, you mentioned that Venus rulership and Uranus is going to begin to start moving closer and closer to her Venus. I think that's going to be a time when her appearance might go through a change of some kind. It'll be, right, 59, 60 is what we're looking at. And so that'll be interesting to see how that speaks to her evolution, her identity, how she knows herself. These big sweeping energies coming in are going to change things for her. And it happens. I get it. Like, life goes through changes. But yeah, that does look like, I mean, I don't like it because I love her so much. And I find her really inspiring. And, you know, some people don't realize she's been such an icon, like especially in the 90s and the early 2000s. And, you know, just personally, you just never saw anybody brown, really. Like before her, she really stood out in how and curvy. You just never saw that before. And she was out there like, yeah, this is who I am. And like you, I really loved she did two things. She did a documentary, which I liked, but then she also did this whole visual album. And I thought that was beautiful. It was so perfectly done because I was like, yeah, that's how it feels when you go through love and these different stages in love, and love is ending and you meet somebody or you reawaken and stuff. But I get it. Like people, they're so quick to move on, and especially generations. And right about now, we think that if something isn't Gen Z, it doesn't matter and it doesn't exist. But sure, she is so meaningful to a lot of people. So, you know, all of life has its flows and ups and downs, but I just hope for the absolute best for her.
I do. Yeah. And this chart is even close to being correct to the time she was born. It was also interesting to consider that Saturn, that's in a, you know, Venus Decan, is also in a Venus ruled house. Some people might.
That's what I'm saying. And that's when Pluto's going to square. That really tears things down as well. And Uranus is going to be on her Venus. So there's going to be change, and there's got to be change, but it's okay. You know, she's a tough cookie, I will say. 29 degrees Scorpio moon. She's a tough cookie. She'll figure it out and reinvent. I do have that faith in her and what she does. She's done it so many times. You don't have the kind of longevity without doing that. Yeah. Let's look at Drake, because he is somebody else who's had some really interesting transits occurring, right? So let me see here. I know I have the chart here and I'll pull it up. Let's have a look at Drake here. Another person who, yeah, look at that, 0 degrees Scorpio. So, I mean, if anybody's a Scorpio, it's Drake. I mean, come on. Dude is such a Scorpio, and he is Canadian. So as Canadians, we're very proud of Drake. I will say he's from Toronto as well. And Torontonians are very proud of him in terms of how proud he's been of being from Toronto and really put it out there in that way. So there is that love and respect for him professionally, for sure. But having said that, yeah, what do you see when you look at this? Tell me.
The first thing that my brain did was go Pluto, 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 or Scorpio, 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 because right away at 0 degrees of Scorpio, this is going to put his sun in the Scorpio Decan and the Scorpio DUADS. This is the sort of intensity that you kind of just mentioned in everything that you were saying. So, you know, that's Pluto ruled. And also 0 degrees of Scorpio is about to really feel this Pluto in Aquarius. And so that's even more Pluto. So, like, the themes are theming. Like, sometimes just hearing planets in repetition when you're breaking things down in this way gives you, like, it's like things descend upon you, because you're like, holy crap, like, this is more Pluto than we could stand. We had a lot of Venus for JLO, Pluto here. Also, let's see, his Pluto is in Scorpio too, and it is also still in the Pluto Decan. So that's like saying 2 scoops of this intensity.
It's like saying a jacked up Scorpio. That's what it is. He is a jacked up Scorpio. Look at all that Venus and Mercury and Pluto, and Ceres is there. It is an intense Plutonian vibe. And then you add, it was back in January that we had the first like dipping of Pluto into the sign of Aquarius, and that began the square to his sun. And you think about the year he's had here in 2024. Yeah, if anybody's experienced a Pluto square to his sun, it is Drake, with how it has felt like this tear down that has had him feeling and appearing so vulnerable. And it's like, it just looks so messy and cruel. Like it depends on how you look at it. Either it's like really messy, like his life and what's coming out, or it's just cruel, the pleasure someone's taking out of seeing them fall. Like all of it feels like it's just jammed up together. But he's a jacked up Scorpio. If Scorpios know anything, they know how to reinvent. They know how to rise. His music is so much about how you tried to bring me down, but I fought and I came back up. Dude is going to figure it out. Yeah.
I agree. And then, also looking at it this way, the generation, Pluto in Scorpio generation that he's part of, is already a generation kind of, I think, more in tune with extremes. Scorpio is the sign of extremes. So, like, think of how much extreme talk there was, particularly back and forth with the Kendrick and Drake beef. I mean, I have to be honest, it's been a long time since I've been up in the middle of the night, like looking, like, is something going to drop? And just seeing how it would happen. The way that people became polarized over and picking a side too speaks to all the scorpionic energy. And then his Pluto is in the Neptune or Pisces, since we're looking at it this way, Decan. So when you can think about that, that's the influence he has over music. Pisces is music too. See how deep it gets just by going, let's pay attention to the extra part of the chart. And my goodness, then you look at his Mercury and his Venus, and that's the moon, Cancer, Decan. He has a Scorpio stellium that spans all three decans. This
incredible.
We're going to talk about this in the course as well. So Drake is also going to be used as an example. I'm telling you, this small thing, it seems so small, but it's major for being able to look and find extra information in charts.
And, if Pluto transits are anything, they are honest. And so we are seeing that all that Scorpio stuff stirring within him right now with the square. And these are tough transits that both of these people are going through. The opposition of Pluto and the square of Pluto, these are tough. But what I can say is they change things up. They show you what's in you. And ultimately, whatever they change up, on the other side of it, at least, what you have is real. And that's my hope, is that on the other side of it, he really does figure out what rising looks like for him, and a reinvention that feels more authentic. I mean, I'm going to stop share here, but I think of the fixed signs as especially interested in authenticity. Both of these people have these strong fixed vibes in their chart. And so ultimately, these really hard aspects are going to help them to get to that place of understanding what it is to be authentically themselves. And it's, we see people go through these lessons on a world stage, but all of us go through them in one way or another. We really do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it'll be really interesting to see these different layers come together, one with the natal chart reading and understanding, but how that feeds into prediction, how that feeds into transits when they're in the mix as well. I mean, I just think this is going to be so rich to just dive into the charts more and more every week as you go along. And so once again, JANÉT is back at Synchronicity University, and JANÉT is going to be teaching all about these advanced techniques involving decans and DUADS and so much more. Once you get a hang of it, it's like second nature. Think about those of you who at one time were really new to the astrological practice, and you're kind of stepping in and like, oh, is this that? And then once you got it, and it just took off. It was just so natural. And so this is the beginning of those really advanced techniques that will become that much more natural to you in the fullness of time, without a doubt. And so, you can sign up right now. You've got a little time left to choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class to learn from JANÉT. Coming up really soon, November 2024 is when this course begins. I'm super excited about it, JANÉT. I know it's going to be amazing.
I can't wait. I've worked hard on it, and I'm just looking forward to people being able to understand things deeply and, refer to this course as, something that they can teach someone else too. I'm telling you, this is one of those, or these are some of those techniques that you can't shut up about once you know about them amongst, your astrological friends and such. So I'm excited about it.
I'm so excited too. And congratulations again on all your success. You absolutely deserve it. It's been so wonderful seeing you continue to grow and thrive. And now to work with you more, it's just such a pleasure as well.
I appreciate you so much. And I'm so excited about it and glad to be back at Synchronicity University.
Me too. Well, thank you again, JANÉT. And thank you everybody out there for watching. Until we connect again, take care. Bye.